Last year, you made a powerful statement saying the reason people are watching women's basketball is not just because of one player, but because of you too. A year later, do you feel like you're getting...
Next question.
The reporter never got to finish his question, but he didn't have to. Angel Reese, in just 2 words, explained the current state of the WNBA and its relationship with Caitlin Clark. And that relationship has just taken a big turn. Let me explain. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA has been undeniable. Millions of new fans, sold-out arenas, and record-breaking viewership. But what's also undeniable is the league's collective fumble of their golden opportunity. Instead of embracing the Caitlin Clark effect, many within the league pushed back. They questioned the hype, downplayed her impact, and worst of all, they mocked her fans. They treated the Caitlin Clark effect as a threat, not a gift. And to anyone watching from the outside, it made 0 sense.
But the WNBA last year, bless their hearts, finally got a star. And they didn't know that. They couldn't figure it out. Well, we don't want to put too much Caitlin Clark on. Nope, every game. More Caitlin Clark all the time, always. Caitlin Clark is easily the most influential athlete in a team sport since Michael Jordan.
The success, the mainstream breakthrough, the headlines, the hype, the packed arenas, it was everything the WNBA had dreamed of for decades. They finally had the moment, the player, the spotlight, the cultural breakthrough. They're on the cusp of real money, respectable salaries, and global attention. But the catch? It was Caitlin Clark leading the way. And for many WNBA players, this wasn't a celebration, it was a funeral. Because for some of them, Caitlin being the one wasn't just a plot twist. It was the death of a dream. The dream that they would be the ones to collectively elevate the league, and maybe the hardest pill to accept. The idea that after years of being told fans just don't care about the women's game, the fans did show up. They just showed up for Caitlin.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Yes, Diana, there are. Like with a death, we've seen players and media go through what seem like stages of grief. Denial, anger, the works. Just wait until you see how this all fits together. It's wild. Anyway, it's been sad, ugly, and just a bad look for the WNBA. But now, there's been a shift. A moment that would normally be nothing special ended up changing everything. And now, the WNBA is fully aware of what's coming next, and they're scrambling to get on the right side of history. Let's get into what happened. But first, like this video if you're ready to watch the WNBA cave to Caitlin. And don't forget to subscribe. Let's rewind for a second.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
By this point last season, Caitlin Clark was already living rent-free in the minds of half the WNBA. She hadn't just arrived, she detonated, tripled viewership, sold out NBA arenas, jersey sales through the roof. Every Fever game became a must-see event, with fans lining up for hours and scalpers charging playoff prices for regular season tickets.
Now, if we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5
That's crazy.
The jealousy started before Caitlin Clark ever laced up a pair of pro sneakers. The hype around her was nothing short of generational. She had just broken the NCAA all-time scoring record, men's and women's. She carried Iowa to back-to-back national championship games, sold out every arena she touched, dropped logo threes like they were layups. Then came the WNBA draft. No suspense, no surprises, just a coronation. She was the obvious #1 pick. But more than that, she was the moment. The camera flashes, the press coverage, the sponsors lining up. And that's where things got weird. Because the league had seen great players before. Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Breanna Stewart, legitimate stars, MVPs, champions. But none of them entered with this kind of hype. And for some, that stung. Cue the first stage of grief, denial. It wasn't just skepticism, it was flat-out resistance. The old guard, players, media, even executives, immediately jumped in to downplay the moment. You could see the cracks before she ever hit the court.
Caitlin's coming. There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
If Caitlin had just come in and flopped, even just been average, the old guard would have had their "I told you so" moment. The narrative would have written itself. College is college, but the WNBA, is a different beast. You don't just waltz in and dominate the women who built this league. The hype would have cooled, the media attention would have shifted, and the old guard vindicated. But that's not what happened. Her first game brought in 2.1 million viewers, the most watched WNBA game in over 2 decades. Every time she played, the ratings soared. National broadcasts, sellout crowds, jerseys flying off the shelves. She wasn't just meeting the moment, she was owning it. And that's when we saw it. Stage 2, anger.
Voting last season. Clark, hammer. 3 Sky players coming over. Here's Clark. For 29 points, gets tripped up.
Is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Now that it was clear Caitlin's pull wasn't going to stop no matter how many eye rolls or media critiques came her way, the next step was damage control. Not off the court, on it. The league, whether consciously or not, started pushing back between the lines. Players took liberties. Hard screens, off-ball hits, unnecessary contact. And what did the refs do? Pocketed their whistles. It became a pattern. Let her get hit. Let her get frustrated. Let her second guess if she belonged. If the hype wouldn't die naturally, they'd try to snuff it out physically. And you could see it, game after game. It wore on her. She was exhausted, bruised, and mentally drained. But Caitlin rose above. She didn't cry. She didn't fold. She got stronger, literally, and came back after the Olympic break playing the best basketball of her life. We're talking MVP level stuff. Leading the Fever to wins, breaking the assist record, making first team All-Star. All of it. And once she proved the hype was real, we entered stage 3. Bargaining. This is the stage where people try to make sense of the new reality. They negotiate with themselves, with others, try to explain it all in a way that lets them hold on to what they lost. Status, pride, control. Because let's be real, what many players lost was their ego. Caitlin came in, took the league by storm, and suddenly the spotlight wasn't on the veterans anymore. It was on her. So what did they do? They changed the story.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. So last night we read Time magazine where Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover?
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
They knew better than to go after Caitlin directly, because that would backfire. So instead, they went after everything around her. They attacked the fans. They blamed the media. According to them, Caitlin wasn't the problem. Everyone else was. She was getting privileged treatment. Her fans were not real WNBA fans. The narrative? If you liked Caitlin Clark, it must be because of her skin color. Never mind that she was leading the league in assists as a rookie. Never mind that she was drawing record-breaking crowds and putting more eyes on the game than ever before. Nope. None of that mattered, because the story being told wasn't about her greatness, it was about bias.
While Caitlin is fantastic and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA, there are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
It's the classic propaganda playbook. Repeat the lie enough, shout it loud enough, and eventually people stop questioning it. And now, we've got a chunk of the basketball world actually believing Caitlin Clark isn't talented. She's just lucky. But if they were expecting the Caitlin Clark effect to simmer down because of this narrative, man, were they wrong. One by one, veterans started lining up to join the Indiana Fever. These weren't players desperate for a job or just happy to be on a roster. These were seasoned champions. DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson, women with options, women with rings, and they all wanted the same thing, to play in Indy. Not just because of the roster, not just because of the coach, but because of Caitlin Clark. There was a time not long ago when media voices like Cheryl Swoops painted Indiana as a place no one wanted to go. Diana Taurasi even mentioned the old rumors recently. But that narrative collapsed. Indy isn't just a destination, it's the destination. And with that, the floodgates opened.
And for the first time in history, WNBA games will be played in the United Center. The Chicago Sky will host the Indiana Fever at the UC on Saturday, June 7th, and on Sunday, July 27th.
First, it was the arena upgrades. Games were being moved just for her. Not for league parity, not for playoff implications, not for all-stars, for Caitlin Clark. Teams that typically played in smaller gyms were suddenly booking NBA arenas because they had to. The demand wasn't optional. If Caitlin was coming to town, you needed more seats. Then came the broadcast schedule. Out of the Indiana Fever's 44 regular season games, 41 will be nationally televised. That's not just visibility, that's saturation. The networks weren't hedging bets. They were putting all their chips on one player, betting that the Caitlin Clark show was worth primetime billing almost every night. And then came the preseason games. One of them, an exhibition game, sold out a 15,000-seat arena. That's preseason. No standings, no playoff stakes, just Caitlin, and fans shelled out hundreds of dollars just to see her warm up.
And the average reported ticket price was $650. Now, if you do the math here and you do 15,000 people times $650, that is almost $9.75 million just for a WNBA preseason game.
At that point, the Caitlin Clark effect couldn't be brushed aside. It wasn't hype. It wasn't marketing spin. It was next-level math, money, and momentum. For many players, reality hit in a different way. Their own teams weren't building around them. They were banking on Caitlin. Promotions were tied to the Fever's visit. Ticket sales jumped only when she was in town. The broadcasters knew it. The sponsors knew it. The fans definitely knew it. And somewhere amid the sold-out arenas, the marketing blitz, and the shift in league energy, something started to settle in. Acceptance. And with that, the players started talking.
Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games? I think we have to understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunities, it just opens it up for everyone else.
Caitlin Clark a problem, bro.
Yeah, she that.
I just think about my rookie year and I think about how I came into the league and I'm like, bro, it was such a crazy transition for me to just understand what it's like to play at the pro level. And it's like this girl coming in as a rookie and going she broke the record for assists. I don't think people really understand how crazy that is to do as a rookie, your first year doing this. But that's another episode. Shout out to Caitlin, bro.
The plays that she was making still, despite all that, was insane, but people were so caught up in the logo threes and the 23-point attempts per game, which absolutely I understand that. It was so much fun to watch, but I always said she could potentially be one of the best point guards to ever play in the WNBA.
Has the coverage been perfect? Of course not. There are still snubs, double standards, and plenty of voices more eager to critique than to celebrate. But slowly, unmistakably, the tone has shifted. The same media outlets that once questioned her every move are now running features on her leadership, her work ethic, her impact. The same players who once seemed skeptical, some of them are starting to give credit, real credit. Not just she's good, but she's changing the game. And that brings us to the moment, the one that sealed it. Caitlin Clark's homecoming.
The fans filed outside in droves, getting ready at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and watch parties all around Iowa City. Everybody wants to catch a glimpse of Iowa's favorite daughter, Caitlin Clark, returning home.
More than 1.3 million people watched that exhibition game on TV. And it wasn't just the turnout. It wasn't just the sold-out arena. It was the context, the comparison. That number didn't just lead the WNBA preseason. It outdrew games from other professional leagues. But it wasn't just the people watching at home. It was what Caitlin did, knowing they were watching. She didn't shrink under the spotlight. She fed off it. She knew exactly what the audience came to see.
Possessions of the day for Brazil. Here's Clark. Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo!
With all eyes on her, Caitlin ran up court and sank a three-pointer from behind the very spot where she broke the NCAA scoring record. It wasn't just a shot, it was a statement. And the fans, they absolutely lost it. Because this wasn't just about basketball anymore. This was about entertainment. It was storytelling, theater, a full circle moment executed with perfect timing. Caitlin knew where she was, what it meant, and how to deliver a moment the audience would never forget.
I think one of the things I love about Caitlin the most is her understanding and like willingness to like meet the moment and like do the thing that she knows everyone wants her to do.
She knows what the people
She broke the record making that shot to begin with. There's just like a certain star quality and like star power there. But it takes you being confident enough, willing enough to be like, oh no. I know what you want. Come here. I'm gonna give it to you. I loved it so much. I just think it's great. I love when athletes like have that like bring the cameras right over here.
Well,
it's so fun.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. She knows it.
And speaking of giving fans what they want, even the Brazilian national team couldn't help themselves. After the exhibition game, they didn't just shake hands and walk off the court. They mobbed Caitlin, smiling, laughing, posing for selfies like they had just met Michael Jordan. Because in their eyes, that's exactly who she was.
Yeah, it is clear that she is having her freaking Michael Jordan moment right now.
This was the moment. The sold-out crowd, the 1.3 million viewers, the opponents swarming her for autographs after the final buzzer. We live in a world of soundbites and snapshots, where perception is often louder than proof. And now, the visual matched the reality. Everyone already knew the numbers. Everyone saw the broadcast schedule, the arena upgrades, the merch sales, the media buzz. But this was different. This was the moment the illusion cracked. The illusion that this was about anyone else.
1.3 million people watched it on ESPN. 1.3 million people. Let me put that in perspective, just between us. No NBA preseason game has had that audience in the last 7 years. Only 2 preseason games in the NBA have had that audience in the last 15 years. More people watched this preseason game than game 1 of last year's WNBA finals. No MLB spring training game has ever come close. The most is when 912,000 people watched the Yankees-Phillies, and that was 20 years ago. 1.3 million people watched Caitlin Clark.
And with that, the game changed.
The favorite to win MVP, should she be?
Yeah, I think so. When you talk about Caitlin Clark, she averaged 19 points, 8 assists. I love that you're counting for me. I need you to count out loud. 19 points, 8 assists last season, but had an even better finish to the season after the All-Star break, after the Olympic break. She lit it up. What did she average? 12 assists during that time? She now has more pieces around her, more teammates she can get the ball to, and she had a full off season.
It is a balance, but she's a generational talent. No league's ever about one player, but in this case, Caitlin brought tens of millions of new viewers into the W, and there's no denying that impact. Not just in the WNBA, but the world of sports. Adam and I talk all the time about she's the most popular athlete in America,
Players, media, analysts, suddenly they are a lot more pro Caitlin Clark than they had been just weeks earlier. Why? Because after what happened in the preseason, the sellouts, the ratings, the gravity she brought to every building, it was no longer up for debate.
Like this season, people are trying to get on the right side of history after kind of being weird the first year. So I can see like the narrative is already kind of, they're waiting for her to produce so that they can say like they were right.
And when you start hearing the off-season stories, that's when it all clicks. Caitlin Clark wasn't just riding the wave of fame, she was outworking everyone. While most players were easing into the off-season, Caitlin was jetting between high-profile appearances, speaking engagements, NFL owner meetings, the Masters, and then still showing up at the gym by 8 a.m. the next morning. Every time. No excuses, no skipping, no burnout. That's not just discipline, that's legendary behavior. Straight out of the Kobe Bryant playbook.
Whatever you want to call Mamba mentality. Whatever you define as Mamba mentality, there's no question about it that Caitlin Clark has it.
Caitlin Clark is bigger, stronger, and fully primed to dominate. Her body is built for the pro grind. Her decision-making is sharper, and her confidence under the spotlight has only grown. She's no longer just adapting to the WNBA. She's preparing to take it over. And the haters? Some are actively trying to get ahead of the narrative by praising Caitlin, while others acknowledge the truth through silence.
Next question.
The grief of not being the star. That's what this really comes down to. And it hits differently for every player. Some show frustration, Others go quiet. A few, like Sophie Cunningham, have embraced it from the start. But no matter how it looks, the moment has arrived. The proof is everywhere. The magnitude is overwhelming. That preseason game in Iowa, it wasn't just hype. It was the rebirth of the Caitlin Clark effect. And this time, it's going to be bigger than ever. If you're still here, drop a trophy in the comments for making it all the way. Thanks for watching.